Today I'm upcycling a vintage gas can along with the May Club Couture transfer, so let's get chalking. The May Club Couture transfer, premium gasoline, has all the vintage vibes, and I am here for it. I absolutely love it. And I picked up this vintage gas can that I'm going to use with this transfer. My vintage loving heart just loves everything about this. I also grabbed the May Chalk Paste of the Month Saucy, which I think is going to be perfect for this project. I will be honest, full disclosure, I was not totally excited about this color, not because I don't love the color, but because it seems like such a fall color. But then when I started thinking about using it with the May Club Couture and how it's got a kind of rusty vibe to it, I was all in with it. So I'm just loving it. Both of these are only available through the end of the month, which is coming up very quickly. So you can head to my chalk site to find both of these. So sometimes it can be a little tricky when you're trying to use a transfer on a non-flat surface, and this one is definitely obviously not flat. We've got the round can, and then there's actually ridges on this can. So basically I'm just going to try to take my time and flatten the transfer on my surface as best as I can. I'm going over each little bump in the can and trying to smooth it as possible. Knowing that once I'm done, I most likely will have some chalk bleed, just because it is next to impossible to get this transfer absolutely flat. You can see the ridges right there. So right now I'm just kind of trying to get all the bubbles out that I can, and obviously this transfer is bigger than my surface, so I'm trying to figure out what parts of the transfer I want to use. So I ended up going with the premium gasoline on the title and the star with the lines, and then I kept the full service garage and the open 24/7. And then I'm actually going to chalk on the back side as well. And my gas can kept rolling, so I ended up grabbing a little picture frame that's going to be in a future project to kind of help keep my gas can from rolling. And then I'm gonna just start chalking, and I'm gonna leave this in real time right now so that you can see how slow I'm kind of working. Typically when you're working on a non-flat surface, don't use a ton of chalk paste. You'll see why in just a second. I thought I was being sparing, but I should have used even less than what I was using here, because I'm going to have a little bit of chalk bleed when I'm done, but that's okay. I have a solution for that, so stay tuned for that. But I'm just kind of trying to take my time and go over those bumps and chalk this as best as I can. So I'm using bright white on the title and then the words, and then for the star and those lines I'm going to use that saucy chalk paste that's so much fun. So I'm going to finish chalking this, and then you'll see what I do with the back side. So as you can see here, like I said, I ended up having a little bit of bleed through because of the bumps on the can. And I used even less chalk paste on the opposite side to try to prevent that. But I do have a solution for that, so stay tuned. Once I have dried that front surface, I'm going to flip it around to the back, and then I'm going to grab a couple other elements of my transfer. I'm going to grab that adorable vintage gas pump, and then I'm going to chalk the Route 66 and then the Last Chance Next Service 100 miles. Side note, fun fact, I actually have driven Route 66. So, and I have a sign somewhere in my house when we drove cross country. I've actually made 2 cross country road trips, so both a lot of fun. So anyway, I'm going to get to chalking this. I'm going to chalk the gas pump in the saucy and then the rest in the bright white. So you can see on this side I had little to, if any, bleed through because I was much more sparing with my chalk paste. Thought I was on the other side, but I definitely took care on this side, making sure to use as little chalk paste as possible, so in the spots where my transfer might not have been absolutely flat, it didn't bleed through. And a side note on your transfers, you can see that some of the gas can or things on it got onto my transfer. That's normal. That's just something that happens when you're using a transfer on a surface like this. I could have waxed my surface a little bit. I always suggest that with wood pieces. And then also staining on your transfer is absolutely normal. It does not hinder your transfer at all. Reds and blacks especially will leave staining. You can see where I used the saucy on there. But as long as you get the chalk paste out of the silk screens, you are good to go. So now to tackle the other side. So my solution to the bleed through on that title was to grab my sandpaper. This is an old gas can. This is a vintage style transfer. The gas can's going to be beat up, right? Clearly it's used. So originally I started with a little bit rougher grit, and then I ended up grabbing my sanding block, and I'm just going to end up sanding it on the ridges of the gas can because that's where it would have taken a beating, right? If it would have gotten bumped into anything. So I'm just going to start sanding this, and once I get it to looking the way I like it, I'm going to finish. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's all in how you want it to look, which is why I love doing this so much. So once I have the sanding all done and have it looking the way I want, I decided I'm not going to sand the other side. I'm going to leave it as is because I like the way it looks. I'm going to give it a quick coat of spray polyurethane so that it can weather the elements outside and the chalk paste won't come off. And now it's good to go. So I hope you enjoyed this project. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more, be sure and like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.